Hello and welcome. This is the Daily Dharma. My name is Dina. Thank you so much for joining today. So today I am going to just do the polls while we go through because today I've had a little bit of a busy morning. One of our chickens has a new chick out there and got busy watching the new foraging experience, and it's neat. Tantric journey popping out. And we'll stop there. That one on the top wanted to come out. 42 is the one that popped out. Tantric journey. We're in the new space today. Let's actually get some sage going too. Coherence. Understanding some pivotal turning point or junction transition underneath the deck here. Let's go ahead and spark it up, shall we? Let's call in any guides, guardians, mentors, God, source, spirit, angels, archangels, ascended masters, ancestors. Gather forth. Give us a clear insight into the lessons of this moment. Cleanse and purify the space, the reader, and the watcher. So what are we understanding about this journey? How to allow things to happen with a little less of our interference, patterning, I guess. So is there something you're taking a new approach to, seeing what develops? 23, dynamic. So allowing a circumstance to develop will help you to understand how things have changed since the pattern was initiated, and new dynamics are emerging from that place. So under transition, we have soul time and conception. So this looks like, because of this allowance, might take a bit of introspection and reflection time, meditation, envisioning how we want things to go. And law of attraction has been coming up quite a bit in the last few days. I'm going to fix my table here. And it seems that what we're talking about is our ability to perceive and to receive what's going on in our environment with a different type of an outlook or idea here to create some type of change. And it seems that previously there was a bit of the human dimension of wanting to assist and control and direct these energies, which is always great. But with these cards, it appears that we're being told that the lesson in this moment has more to do about how we allow what we want to be more important than some of the things that we might perceive as being what we don't prefer. So I'm mixing up the shamanic decks, the two blended together. As usual, you can find those all in the description. Part of the cards on the bottom of the deck wanted to pop out first. We have 39, owl. There's that wise bird in energy. The bird energy has been coming up quite a bit out of the Return to Spirit deck, and it seems to be talking about some kind of stellar heritage. And from that space, part of the lessons that I've been able to witness once I leave the table and the sacred space, I go out into the world, so to speak, my little natural world, because now I live in the country. I haven't always been so blessed. But when I'm watching, for instance, the birds, whether that's the surrounding wild birds, coming to the feeder, and the different situations that they sing, they do their other things, and watching the species that shows itself. Oh, which reminds me, this morning I saw my first hummingbird of the year. It came down, it checked out the plants while I was waiting for my daughter to get on the bus, went around the house, and I told her about it. And a few minutes later, it came back around and kind of floated a bit right to my immediate left, forward and to the left, took me in, tilted its head a few times, and then shot back the other direction. So, those of you who don't know, that's my message for my mother in spirit. So, something about watching the birds in your sphere can be something that's helping us to understand how to allow dynamics to operate in our own life, or how we've been allowing things we don't prefer to persist here. And the tantric journey appears to be us taking some type of new approach, which doesn't always mean that we're taking a new assertive stance, especially with coherence and allowance. It's allowing the circumstance to develop, transitioning from a doing phase into a receiving phase. And how can we birth something into being? And more of this chicken stuff is coming forward. I hope you can apply this. But when the chicken goes broody, you call it, think about how we're brewing and broody in our own mental. That word has come to mean someone who's brooding is somebody who's feeling something. I don't want to use the word negative, but it's the only one coming up. It's got a negative connotation where people that are broody are reflecting pessimistically, perhaps brooding on something that they are stewing over. All of these little words. And the chicken actually plucks out her belly feathers to keep the egg warm. She fluffs herself up and she sits the nest quite consistently, only getting up once in a while to relieve herself and to drink some water and eat some food. But largely, she just sits her nest. And even afterwards, this morning, she took the baby chick. So, little background, her egg was taking forever and it didn't seem to want to hatch. And in our incubator, we only had one hatch for the first longer than 24 hours. And so I told my daughter to have it go out, and we did a little exchange, and the hen was happy as can be. The moment we did that, we had a second chick hatch. And this one's been in the incubator for a little over 24 hours now, still no other hatchlings. And so we were going to take that one out. But do you know that the bird is so intelligent? It knew it only had one egg. And so it wouldn't accept the new baby. It pecked at it as something foreign, something that would take resources from its baby. So here we have the segue into Dream Thief 13. This to me seems like that competition for resources, the fear of something intruding or taking something away from self or those resources or individuals that you were protective and caring for. It's like the mother owl, and then the dream thief is like chasing away something that's even greater abundance. And then we have that as the fading away cycle of having been so preoccupied with the doing phase and with perhaps the sacrifice phase, which came up yesterday, and moving into 9 after this period of being reflective. This balances on one foot. Number 9 comes out, this moth energy, and it's always so interesting. It comes in with this bit of a ballet where it's crossing a threshold from one plant to the next, perhaps. And it, to me, even more than a moth, it's more of that fairy energy, which keeps creeping into the readings here over the last so long. And it's kind of talking about how we are almost sidestepping Dream Thief, allowing the situation to present with those watchful, transpersonal, wise gaze of the owl inside. That higher self is listening. So underneath the deck right now, the hummingbird. Number 26. I appreciate the synchronicities. Let's see what else we have in store. So let's clarify tantric journey, this point of transition, the point of awareness and coherence of the dynamics at play and what we're learning and how we're shifting and changing, how our needs and wants and concerns are shifting in their, which things get the airtime in our head and heart. Skywriting the fates coming out next, number 49. And I do now have this translator rune thing, and I've noticed that between the book I have and between this little key here, there are some discrepancies with the keyword that they've chosen. But the one that appears to be a bit of a bow tie, in this it says home, and I know that this one is something different. It was called, I believe, breakthrough in the book, talking about coming from one expanded point, simplifying, small and small enough to reach through, to make it through the eye of the needle, and then having a new expansion on the other side. It's that breakthrough point where it's like the momentum from that ringing out, that twisting at the center. It's like, have you ever seen the individuals in the track and field event where they, what is it, where they, is it called, get out of here, I have the pole barn open, there's birds trying to get in. It's where they use the pole, is it pole vault, where they stick it in the ground and then they shoot themselves up, like twisting themselves up, feet overhead, and then twisting in the air to then do this weird back bend over the bar and onto the mat at the other side. I don't know why that's coming through, but it's also showing me one of the cards in this deck. It's called the Unmarked Path, and it's got this twisting on both ends and then a sphere in the center, some kind of labyrinth energy navigating our space. So skywriting the fates, I'm seeing fairy energy down here. Also, I don't know if it will come through here, but it's like a set of legs doing one's bent and one's extended. And it's almost the back is arching. So it's reminding me of this dances on one foot too. What was the one yesterday? We had something else that came through with dance. But it's about moving the body for some of us. Being able to stretch and move helps this energy work through the system. It helps our immune function to be rejuvenated, and it helps ourselves to get rid of those stagnant energies and invites, creating space to invite in the new. So skywriting the other day came through as the writing being on the wall for something, like something wasn't working, something needed to shift and change. So the fates here seems like this transition has almost been written in the stars, and maybe there's part of us that has been a bit resistant to this new beginning, or another has been resisting our transition. But we're birthing a new approach here on the back side. So what for coherence? Understanding that the universe is your partner. 31 in the hand. There's a saying about a bird in the hand is worth something like 3 in the bush. I'm also seeing this 31 as a 3-to-1, and it's clarifying the 13. So 13 and 31, this anagram, that is that what it's called? The back side to the center. It's that twisting motion that I always see with tantric, that I'm explaining with that unmarked trail card that's coming through, with that breakthrough rune here. So that bird in the hand The universe is your partner. So understanding the situation and the synchronicities of the universe. And after yesterday's reading, there were so many butterflies and hummingbirds. I was out doing my gardening, preparing to make money through gardening, perhaps. Well, I better, but it's a labor of love. But I was trying to take my own medicine and listen to the bird songs and listen to the synchronicities and fluttering through various moths and butterflies. And one in particular was a pretty yellow one, which seems to be around this property the last few years. But see that yellow plexus energy here in the hand. And I jokingly spoke with my mother. I was like, I see you. I see you. Why don't you get your gloves on and get to work with me? And I was like, you're not going to do any work here, are you? And it was just being fun and playful with the energies that we're presenting, because quite often that can also bring up a brooding nature, like the sacrifice of release can bring up how we are nostalgic, how we miss that individual. But it can also talk about how their energy wants to speak to us and through us, through building our confidence, through building our legacy and building our energetic frequency and understanding that we can be that beacon of love. And I know this all sounds a little cheesy, but it is what it is. Spirit speaks consistently in this way to me, because I find that left to my human dimension, I can be a bit harder on myself than is really productive. I can be my worst critic. I can be pessimistic or negative about different individuals. I can find myself in judgment, especially about those that I perceive as having extreme judgment, like those that come through with gossip energy or distracting or detracting from other individuals. Then I'm over here detracting from that individual going, oh, well, they think. Every once in a while it arises, and yours might not be that thing, but these things arise so that we can take stock of what energy are we really feeding into that situation. Maybe there is a new approach to this dynamic that can allow others to be how they are, so that we can release that from our energy and allow ourselves to show up in a different way with less judgment. Therefore, setting the bar higher so that right now, if we're matching judgment for judgment or aggression for anger, for resentment, for frustration, through pessimism or defeatism, or through unhealth and perceiving of the self as aging or as sickly, there are always things that we can do that will be extremely beneficial to contribute to our health, to we've got 13 in Dream Thief and Coherence and the 31 here. It's like Dream Thief is that moment where we finally understand how we can flip a situation and create benefits for ourselves. So the universe is our partner here, is reminding us that as we take this better care, as we take this new perspective and approach, then the outcome begins to take shape as well. And similar to the breakthrough rune, this tantric journey is the water and fire triangles, pyramids. That Merkaba is the three-dimensional pyramid-like structures, the signifying the above and the below, the divine masculine and feminine combining and finally working in congruence, I'm hearing, which cooperative energy doesn't necessarily there's coherence, is understanding niches, understanding that strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that each one of us presents, and how to work appropriately amongst each other without demonizing certain approaches. Maybe somebody else's situation is at the point where they do need to generate assertive energies. Maybe they were taken advantage of and um, raised under the boot of a toxic masculine or a bipolar feminine, or fill in the blank. It could be many different things, but as we allow other individuals to really reach into themselves without our own subconscious judgment, without saying a word perhaps in some situations, it allows them to understand that they're no longer being challenged by us, hopefully, and allows them to also embrace a new dynamic. So this is something that's been coming up. So I hope that this has been something that you've been able to apply to your own situation. Clarifying allowance 44, the perfect storm, the courage to step into life. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the feathers there, on its back in particular. There are color and details there that are allowing this card to appear as a peacock, whether it's a raven or a crow. It's that 44 is the master number to me that reflects the divine intervention, the divine assistance and support, angelic presence. And there's that heart-centered whirlpool energy there. It's that tantric connection happening perhaps in the heart. So moving away from that need for power and control. We talked about power and control already. Allowing that energy to serve the heart in a new way. So going from the fire energy into the air energy, and allowing that fire to come up through the heart is where we're connecting and working coherently and cooperatively within ourselves, with masculine and feminine, empowering ourselves with true spiritual power, walking in this newfound grace, allowing ourselves to be seen in a new way. And it's like this lightning bolt is coming out of that tantric journey, that twist, that plot twist I'm hearing with this soul time and the reflection on something that perhaps bothered you before about a dynamic that's come through, or something that has eluded you, about maybe you've got a go-to emotion such as powerlessness, or being unsupported, being angry, being resentful, being judgmental. Any of these things can kind of come up and kind of haunt us from time to time. And there's the difference here that wants to step forward is the difference between allowing these things to tell you a story versus allowing them to help you to feel into the sensations that the mind, body, and spirit is having in different circumstances. Allowing the dynamics to help us to understand how to step more deeply into the heart, into the eye of the storm. The perfect storm, the courage to step into life, is all about the dynamics of life activating us, and then in return, us activating life. What clarifies dynamic? 14, the curse. Yeah, there's a reason why we're talking about those go-to emotions and the go-to responses that don't serve. There's something that either we've been somehow socialized or groomed into acting such, or behaving or speaking or thinking, especially that inner self speak that needs to be really shaken up and shut down. I mean, if you're feeling this disempowerment, perhaps the only answer is to say, well, there's got to be something that I can do. Perhaps that's just drinking more water. Perhaps that's the moment that I wake up, affirming, being affirming, every once in a while I'll wake up and there's this lingering feeling that I can't put my hand on, something about perhaps the dreamscape and journeying through the dreams and awakening in a weird mood, unable to put your finger on something. There's these residues that need to be cleansed and cleared, and many of them will have come through some type of suffering, trauma, or abuse. I know that we talk about this, but a huge number of us have these residual storylines operating, whether or not through our personal experiences, the personal experiences of those who socialized us, who groomed us, who taught us how to forage. Like the bird took its baby out today for the first time, and it was just so magical to watch them. And yeah, so let's go ahead and put this one down. I feel the need to split the deck. Let's see what's revealed. Galactic Mushroom, the Divine Matrix. I want to show you this. And below that, First Breath, Beginner's Mind, the one that shows the individual with all of those many things to do. And then this came out in the blanket fort reading the other day. And I don't know if the titles sometimes throw people through a loop, but these two came out together, talking about having so much to do that was taking so much out of you, draining you, and then needing to just like take this unexpected, unplanned rest phase. And it was coming through as really deeply immersing within the heart chakra, and then taking this time for aromatherapy and perhaps to cleanse and purify. So, Galactic Mushroom, I think for me, a good part of this is if you are feeling stagnant, one of the things that you can try doing, well, a few of the things you can try to do is to mix up the routine with things that are just a little different, taking a different route to work or to do whatever running around you might have to do. Also, you know, awakening with a glass of water and a good stretch before reaching for your caffeine or whatever else your habit may be. But gaining that alignment between breath and body, between affirmation and instigation. How will you start your day? So, from the first breath of consciousness in the morning, set yourself with a new idea. Today's a new day. Today, I have all these choices before me. And even when I might go back into an old way of understanding, I still can move through this day giving thankfulness through whatever. Let's go ahead and get some return to spirit cards on this. Tantric Journey, Skywriting the Fates. So you're here for a very important reason in this activation, whether it comes late in life or early in life. There's something here that you understand, that you know about yourself or your journey or your calling, or something that you know that doesn't suit or serve, that is here, and probably a combination of several of those. So how do we turn this on its head? Commitment, that came out also yesterday or the day before. Committing to this new frequency shift was how this came out before. And it's like recommitting to yourself, to your highest benefit, takes definite commitment and awareness, because we are the one that can allow these inner voices to continue to keep us down, to keep us small, or we can allow these voices to lift us up. It's like the angel and the demon sitting on either shoulder, speaking in the ear. And something about this needs to be quite simplified. And I often talk about how I noticed I had this inner narrative patterning that was going on years ago. And I recognized how every step in every decision fed into the overall. And I thought, well, I know this is silly, but I'm just going to try this. And I noticed that in the shower or doing chores, that often that was when this space and the narrative began speaking up through me. And I noticed that if there started to be this tumbling down, the slipping down the slope into negativity, almost like pinching oneself awake. Am I dreaming? Am I awake? Dream thief, something about dreams. And also, so before I go on, dreams, when I noticed this, like pinching oneself to interrupt something, to check and to validate, might be muscle testing, might be important for you, especially in the hand, something in the hands. I began, when I felt this, I would hum and say, that isn't true. That isn't true. I understand. I'm forecasting this. I'm envisioning something negative. Have you ever envisioned having an argument with somebody that you're feeling those resentments or frustrations with? Keep it simple. The universe is your partner. So if you don't want to argue with this person, but you want to get your point across, it would be much more valuable to not envision further misconstruing and aggression and irritable exchanges, but to say, this person ultimately must understand this about me. It's indistinguishable from who I am. And I trust this. And if they say these things, I know that I can be unaffected and unbothered. And I know that I have the potential to switch that and to operate from a new vantage point. So coherence and universe in our hands. The universe is in your hand. Interesting. Spinning the universe like a top in one's hand. So up, leveling up. It's like I'm seeing snake energy, and I know it's a bit like a snake energy here, but it's like that kundalini energy that lies coiled at the base of the spine, rising up through the chakras. We're talking quite a bit about this leveling up through the eye of the needle, the eye of the storm, leaving the curse and the dream thief in the past. Oh, and the thing about dreams that I was also going to say, we can also sort of pinch ourselves awake from a recurring nightmare. In my dreams, I decided to commit to attempting, when something became out of hand in my dreams, and I kept having these thoughts like, oh, here it comes, I understand this is the bad part. I started to attempt to put on my spiritual armor in my dream to say, yes, but now I'm the hero of my own dream. If this is a dream, I take back my power, and I will no longer show up as the victim, but I will come back and I will take ownership and responsibility and protect and provide for myself and wake myself up. Running out of time, folks. So let's get two more. Perfect storm. It's lucid dreaming there. Change of mind on the bottom of the deck. Rejuvenation. Yep, perfect storm. We're setting things on their head. And innocence, an innocent change for the better. You didn't deserve